Okay, this first video is an introduction to ratios. So I think a lot of students have done ratios before, some haven't. So I'm going to talk about it in class, but this video will also be a reference, so you can look back on it and you can review it if you can't remember. So we're going to look at how we construct and write ratios, and then we're going to look at a comparison of the difference between a ratio and a fraction. Okay, or we're going to contrast ratios and fractions to see what the differences are. So, first up, what is a ratio? A ratio is a comparison of two quantities. So, let me see, I'll write that down. So, a comparison of two quantities. Okay? And a ratio is usually written in a couple of different ways. So let's think about it first. If we think about our class groups in 6th grade, we have roughly half and half, 11 boys and 11 girls. Okay, more or less. I think there might be a slight variation, but it's more or less 11 and 11. So I could write that fraction in three ways. I could say the ratio of boys to girls is 11 to 11. Okay, so that's using the colon. I could also write it using the word 2, which would be 11 to 11. Or also, I could write it kind of looking like a fraction, which would be 11 over 11. Now, if you look at these, the way that these are written, well, they can all be simplified. If you look at what it means is, for every 11 boys in the class, there is also 11 girls. For every group of 11 boys, there is also 11 girls. And that can also be simplified to 1 is to 1. That means for every boy that's in the class, there is a girl that can match with them. Okay? Every boy has one girl that matches with him. So it can be written simplified to 1 is to 1, like this. Or it can be written like that. So that's the idea of what a ratio is. These are the three different ways it can be written, the ways that you'll see them. This one here, most commonly I think, is used, because straight up you know it's a ratio. If it's written like this form, they will tell you the ratio. They'll tell you that they're talking about a ratio instead of a fraction. Right, let's have a look at some problems. So a couple of simple ones here, just to start us off. And remember, you should simplify them if you can. So the first up is, what is the ratio of pentagons to triangles? Now you see the way it says pentagons first and then triangles. That means when you write your ratio, you have to write the number of pentagons first. Because pentagons, it asks you for pentagons first. So there's 5 pentagons. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 triangles. So the ratio can be written as 5 is to 6, like that. Okay, you could also write it as 5 over 6 or 5 to 6. Okay, but I'm going to stick to this way here that I have written on the space. Okay, triangles to trapezoids. So triangles go first. How many triangles? 3. How many trapezoids? 5. Okay, again, that's another ratio that can't be reduced. 3 to 5 is just 3 to 5. That means for every 3 triangles, we're going to have 5 trapezoids. And finally, squares to hexagons. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 squares. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 hexagons, which is a ratio of 3 is to 2. And what that means is, for every 3 squares that we have, there's one group of 3 squares, we can take a group of 2 hexagons. Okay, and look, here's another group of 3 squares, and we can take a group of 2 hexagons. Okay, so the ratio is 3 squares for every 2 hexagons. Sorry, that should have gone around like that, there. 3 squares for every 2 hexagons. Now we're going to look at the difference between a ratio and a fraction. So if you look at this, this is the same question that we've done before, or we're looking at the same thing, but the question is slightly different. Okay, so we're going to look at the difference between a ratio and a fraction. So in this case here, what fraction of the shapes are triangles? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 shapes we have. 11. And how many of them are triangles? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6/11ths are triangles. And look at the next one down here below. What fraction of the shapes are squares? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 squares. Out of a total of 1, 2, 3, 4 more 10. So that is equal to 3/5. Okay? Now, if we remember, when we did the ratio, when we asked what the ratios were here, we said that the ratio of pentagons to triangles was 5 to 6. And we also said that the ratio of squares to hexagons was 6 to 4, which we simplified to 3 to 2. So, a ratio compares one group to another group. Okay, one group to another group. A fraction compares one group to the total. Okay, one group to the total. So, when we looked at the first one there, we were looking at triangles. Okay, we saw that we had 6 triangles, but we had a total of 11 shapes. Okay? Similar at the bottom. In these two cases as well, when you add the numbers that make up the initial ratio, so you add 5 and 6 and you get 11. You add 6 and 4 and you get 10. Okay, so when you add the initial ratios, it tells you how many, or it tells you the bottom part of the fraction. Okay? So key to remember, ratio compares one quantity to another, one group to another group. Fraction compares one group to the total amount of things, the total amount. Okay, let's have a look. Question going between fractions and ratios. So we're just going to have a look at a problem here. So we're going to make some notes on the side here to help us solve this. So it tells us there are 12 boys in a class and 10 girls. Okay, so how many students are there in total? I'm going to put S equals 22 students. 8 have dark hair and the rest have light hair. 4 of the girls have dark hair and the rest have light hair. Okay, what is the ratio of boys to girls in the class? Okay, the ratio of boys to girls. This is easy. There's 12 boys and 10 girls. And we can simplify that to 6 to 5. Okay? So that means for every 6 boys in the class, there are 5 girls. What fraction of the class are boys? Well, we've 12 boys in the class. And how many students are there in total? Total number of students is 10 plus 12, which is 22. So that is going to be 6 over 11. Right, what fraction of the class have dark hair? Well, how many dark-haired students do we have? I'll take a note over here. Dark-haired students. Well, 8 of the boys have dark hair, and 4 of the girls have dark hair. So that's 12 students have dark hair. So we're going to have 12 over 22 again. 6 over 11. It's the fraction of dark hair. And now, what's the ratio of dark-haired students to light-haired students? Well, if we've 12 dark-haired students, that means we've 10 light-haired students. So the ratio, 12 to 10, which is 6 to 5. Okay? So I'm just showing you there the difference between how you construct a fraction and how you construct a ratio. And that's it. So just review this. We're going to look at some more problems from this, but this should just give you an idea of how they work. Okay?